Hey guys, Phil here. I just wanted to say thank you for your continued listenership. We appreciate it. As always, it's the listeners that really keep us going and keep us doing what we do. So we love it. Thank you very much. I just wanted to call out that my mic in this episode and a few episodes has been a little bit off. Every now and then it's me that has the software issue and not Kenny. I think it should be fixed now, but apologize because I do sound a little bit quiet in this episode. We're pretty excited to put this one out. We did it pretty quick. Matt, we met in Germany way back in October of last year, and finally got him on an episode, and we're kind of super stoked about this one, and thought we'd get it out as quick as we could. All right, thanks for listening, and we thank you guys so much for your support and for all the people that listen to us. Thanks again.
Hey, welcome to This Commerce Life, an unscripted podcast that focuses on the stories behind small and independent Canadian retail and Canadian CPG.
What we try and do is deliver or pull out the story of our guests and give them to you. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly of retail and CPG in Canada. We're filling a need because we think that retail is hard on the best of days, but it's also a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up and make your living.
We also think that the industry, nor the people that inadvertently find themselves in the industry, really understand the industry at all. They don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes.
So listen to us, Phil and Kenny. We'll unravel it for you. We'll give you the story. We'll give you the story behind the story.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you doing, Phil?
I'm good. You, Matt?
Yeah, buddy, good. I'm doing good.
Excellent. Long time no see.
I know what was October or November in Germany? October, yeah.
I know. Like that's like yesterday and like a crazy long time ago, all at the same time.
It is. It was last year.
It's insane, man. I can't believe how fast life is going. Like it's and then the years just like zipping by. So
I know already, right? I mean, what tomorrow's last day of Feb, so yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
What to do? Living on the road on this side. Hey, Kenny.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm sorry. I just woke up. I had making myself a cup of coffee
You didn't
before I
even
got on
roll
with
out
you.
of bed yet.
No, 7 o'clock, man.
Oh yeah, Pacific. Where are you at?
I live in Vancouver.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bill,
Where are you, Matt?
I'm in Saskatoon.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm in Toronto.
always.
Yeah.
Toronto. There we go. We're all spread out. We got all bases covered.
Yeah. Yeah.
National
Almost.
Podcast Day, baby. National Podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. We're excited to do this because we believe it or not, or maybe it's weird, but we talk about you a lot.
Cool.
We enjoyed meeting you, Matt,
Yeah,
in the new guy. It was awesome.
In the short
Yeah, that's
span,
good.
so for listeners, like we met Matt in Germany of all places, and learned a ton of shit about rice and Canadians in Germany.
Who knew?
Yeah. Who'd
And
have thunk it?
yeah, it was just good Lord, right? So we've talked a lot about this, but for listeners, we got Matt Ratuski on. We are super excited, but what I'm hoping to do, I'd love it if you just introduce yourself, and then honestly, like the next hour is yours, man.
Cool.
We're a captive audience. We kind of love. We've heard a little bit of the story, and then if listeners, you were on YouTube, you would have seen some of Matt's story on a short YouTube kind of thing. But yeah, dude, just excited that you're on, and then we're trying to do more stuff in your part of the world just so that Canadians kind of understand what's happening out there, because there's
Yeah.
some pretty cool shit
Yeah.
going on there.
Yeah. In the middle, in the prairie lands, right?
Yeah.
Wow, you kind of get the forgotten ones in the middle. Like we hit BC, Alberta, you jump, and it's
Yeah,
too
with
bad.
an airplane, it's really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forget about the people in the middle, and there's so many cool things going on. Like
Yeah.
your story, like we walked.
Yeah.
I remember we walked away from you, and I looked at him. I said, "Okay, I didn't know we did rice." So
remember.
people are going to hear that part right before they start this podcast. I didn't know any of this. I did not know we did this shit.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
I
we also found
remember
out the
you walked
connection with.
away. Yeah, you walked away and then you came back and you're like, okay, you weren't BSing me, man.
Yeah.
We went online and checked you out to
I
make
know.
sure you were
You got to
bullshitting
fact
us.
check. You got to fact check. Come on. It's the world we live in.
Hey, we shouldn't be fact checking Canadians. We should
No, we couldn't.
we tell the truth. I
Yeah.
just couldn't believe it. I thought he's got to be full of shit. There's
Yeah.
this what a BS story.
No,
Anyway,
man,
sorry, Matt, go.
I was born into it, right? So,
This is yours, man. I want to tell the people the story.
sure.
It's so
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, it's the only story I know because it's like I said, I was born into it. So,
Right.
our family has been involved in the Canadian wild rice business since 1935. So I'm fourth generation in the family that's working in it. It's a fraction of our business now. It used to be all of our business as
Right.
things change over time. But yeah, my great grandfather, Peter Ratuski, he was trading fish with the First Nations and selling it down to Chicago, I believe, and then saw them harvesting this wild rice. And back then they used to do it with canoes and sticks and kind of pull the reeds over and knock the rice into the canoes and then take it, roast it on fires and then eat it. So he started he had a little grocery store in Keewatin, Ontario, and so that's where he first started to market the wild rice from them, which is kind of cool. And then my great grandfather, not my great grandfather, my grandfather Ben Ratuski built one of Canada's first wild rice processing facilities in Keewatin, Ontario, and kind of commercialized it on the marketing side. And in Canada, wild rice still to this day is not cultivated like it is in the United States, where it's the fields are flooded and diked and then poured water in and seeded and then harvested with combines and what have you. Up in Canada here, most of the wild rice is still growing in northern Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Ontario in the north in rivers, streams, bogs. Yeah, so it's a very interesting crop. So my grandpa built that roasting facility. So working with the First Nations, we have relationships that go back through three generations as well, which is pretty remarkable. They go out and harvest, and we supply like airboats now and help with that stuff. But way back in the day, I mean, yeah, it was canoes, and then you're moving into quads. I've been on float planes now that you go up to get it out of really remote areas, and they tie all the green rice in burlap bags onto the floats, which is kind of interesting. Anyways, so in Keewatin, Ontario, where my grandfather Ben built that, bringing all the green rice. Wild rice is roasted similar to how coffee is, right? So it's kind of green and milky inside of the husk, and then it's roasted and then dehusked, and then it becomes this beautiful, like kind of glass black, right? And kind of shatters. So the crop comes once a year. The first sign of a good crop on the water is the floating leaf stage, and that's what our company's called now is Floating Leaf Fine Foods. And
Yeah.
that's when the leaf comes out of the water and appears and it's floating on top. So the first sign of good photosynthesis is going to occur and of a good crop, because then the sun's coming through and the shoot comes out. But that happens in the beginning of summer, and then you're already in September, mid-September, late September is when the harvest begins, and it's like you got a 2-3 week window because of Mother Nature, right? So what comes up must come off and get what you can. And then that's all hauled, and it was hauled into Keewatin, Ontario, roasted, and then would go on for about 6 weeks. You're curing the wild rice, sweating it before it's being roasted, and then we'd market it around the world. So back then, when my grandpa was doing it, it really wasn't in the Canadian market. It was all going to export, and it was all going to Europe because they were eating a lot healthier than we were over
Right.
here
We still are.
at that time. Absolutely, right? They kind of paved the way. Hence why you found me in Germany. Right? Clearly, there's the connection. But then from the wild rice on doing it and kind of putting 50-pound bags, 100-pound bags, and exporting containers of it, we started to get into to Canadian retail and food service. So in Canadian retail, like Loblaws, we've had our 250-gram SKU there for 50 years. I mean, it's been a long time, right? It still sits on the same shelf by itself on the top, but still great business. Canadians more and more become aware, especially what's going on now is what's growing in Canada and what cool kind of things do we have here. Wild rice is a superfood. It's a complete plant-based protein. It's got all 9 essential amino acids in there. It's high in B vitamins and iron and zinc. Like it's fat. You look at an NFT on that stuff. It's pretty remarkable. The shelf life on wild rice, because it is roasted is like 5+ years. I mean, you're only allowed to put 5 on a label, but you get
Right.
10 and more.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, so then we got
But
into
nobody
the
looks
retail.
at expiry or best before on rice, do they?
No, but
It
you should
shouldn't.
sometimes when you're going to look at those big bags that you can buy at
Okay.
some retailers, and some of that stuff gets passed
Yeah.
around the world quite a bit, put in a different bag,
Gets
and
rebagged.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
such
Yeah.
bags.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did retail, and then we started. My grandpa was the first one kind of to sell wild rice to Uncle Ben's back in the day. That not my grandpa's father's name is Ben, but not the Uncle Ben's in the U.S. And that
This
was
Uncle
before
Ben,
they.
but not that Uncle Ben. Got
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
He was somebody's uncle.
Yeah.
But he was the first to sell wild rice, and before they really started cultivating a lot in the U.S. As that market grew for wild rice. And the story goes, the conversation was like, hey, we're going to be doing retail, and you should focus on food service, and to hire fancier restaurants and stuff. So to this date, we do Cisco private label, which is cool. In their brand, we also have our brand
Wow.
food service through like Cisco and Gordon's and Pratt's and what have you,
Oh.
and then direct all over the world. Like we export now pure wild rice. There's always more demand than there is of Canadian wild rice. By the way, it's all organic, right? And so we export like Japan, Brazil, China, obviously the U.S. still too. There's always a desire for the Canadian wild rice. It's longer. It's a longer grain. I mean, they're all different sizes because it's a natural
Yeah.
crop, but traditionally it's longer and thinner. And the reason with the Canadian variety that takes 60 minutes to cook, okay? Like, you can soak it for
So
30
it's
minutes.
just it's a long boil then? Is that like, or
30
simmer?
minutes and then 30 minutes. Yeah, bring it to a boil, let it kind of go for 30 minutes, and then take the lid and let it sit for 30 minutes. And it just keeps blooming open. I
Right.
remember telling you guys this in Germany is it's not actually a rice, it's aquatic grass seed, right? So it's always been called wild rice, risage, but it's not. So when you cook it, it's not just like rice that just puffs up. It actually, Canadian long grain, it actually looks more like barley, right? So it kind of blooms as the
Yeah.
more water
Oh,
absorbs. And wild rice just gets chewier. So it not doesn't get chewier, it is chewier. It
right.
doesn't break down like if you overcook white rice or brown
It's
rice and
mush.
turn to porridge at
Mush.
some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
wild rice won't
Stir.
do that, right? And yeah, so there's always been a market for it out there globally, and never enough. We always keep as we believe in obviously feeding Canadians and stuff. We're Canadian, we're Canadian family business, and we're super proud of that. And the Indigenous roots connected to the business as well, is building the market here. So I mean, we have a 300 gram in retail now. We do blending with different wild rices. So after my grandpa, he started to do. Ben was doing, food service, always pure wild rice, and then he started to get into like just a brown and wild and a white and wild, because a lot of people, wild rice is very expensive. Okay, like
Right.
it's not even comparable to other rices out there, which I could talk a bit about why those costs are so high in a sec. Um, but wild rice is so nutritious, you wanted to get it out there into the marketplace. So we do a white and wild, right, and
So
then a
those
brown and
medleys
wild.
are really a result of
Correct.
that. That's what the medley's all about. It's been someone thinking, okay, we can't do a 300 grammer, but if we put 50 grams, 100 grams in, at least you're getting something more than just basic rice.
100%. And from a
Look at the
nutrition value,
shit you learn
for
in the
taste,
morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. Look at the stuff we learn.
I know. I'm
Mamma
going back to
mia.
sleep after this. It's Friday.
I might have to. I think it's gonna be overload.
Yeah, that's
It's too
right.
much information too quick in the morning.
Too much, too much.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. And so we started doing that in food service as well. And then my dad got involved, and then my dad got involved and kind of started doing like veggie pilafs, which we won awards for, which is dehydrated vegetables, and then wild
Right.
rice and white rice or brown rice with no sodium in there. And so it was like, with wild rice, it brings so much flavor because when it's roasted, it's nutty, right? So you have always this nuttiness, this beautiful aroma, even if there's just a little bit in a pot that you're mixing with other rices or grains. So he got into doing that. And then I came on, I got involved about 15 years ago, even though I grew up like literally packing wild rice every summer as a kid and on weekends in my grandpa's factory, holding them and pressing them and making Loblaw orders and what have you, back then, and Safeway and Sobeys and all that fun stuff. I got involved 15 years ago and came with a culinary background, and that's what I went to school for, in management. And I had worked with Cisco in food service for about 10 years, out of Calgary, Alberta, and down in the Fernie area, beautiful area
Beautiful.
in marketing and sales. But we got to work with lots of chefs, right? And working with lots of great chefs at resorts who had a real appreciation for wild rice and everything that's Canadian and growing, basically, kind of in the prairies. So that's what I came in with. My dad asked me, like, hey, come on, it'd be cool if we could start to do some other stuff. And we got into doing multi-grain blends. So like taking other cool things that we grow in the prairies that we do grow, like lentils and millet and quinoa. Actually, quinoa has been growing here since the 70s. And now it's a commercial crop, which is kind of interesting. I always thought it was Peru and Bolivia, right?
Yeah.
But we take those and we blend them together. So this is, I started doing food service, it'd be like 5 grains. But all that would cook in 20 minutes. So the interesting thing about how we do that, and that's where I kind of came in, is like chefs working in kitchens always have like 3, 5, 6 pots cooking all these different grains and stuff, and then mix them together and what have you. So like in that one I just showed as our ancient field blend. We created that actually for Starbucks years ago, and they use it inside of a wrap. And they wanted a multi-grain blend, and we went to bat with a lot of bigger companies, and we just submitted and we got chosen because everything cooked at the same time. The NFT was remarkable. And it's a complete plant-based protein, because when you're taking rice and pulses together, you get all 9 essential amino acids in there as well. So in that one, there's wild rice, and how we get that wild rice to cook, not in.
I'll say, how do you do 20-minute rice now?
Yeah, so how you do that is we sort out a certain length. So like there's A, B, C, and D. So we'll take that, right? We also have a process called wild rice in minutes, where we take it, we basically soak it and rehydrate it, not with heat, and then we air dry it. And we do that in Winnipeg. That enables it to cook in that 15, 20 minutes. But even lentils, right? I mean, there's like 30 minutes and you want to go, and they're all different. So we sprout those. Those are sprouted. They got a little tail on them. The sorghum in that is cracked. So sorghum berries, again, about 60 minutes. So rather than trying to alternate it at all, you just crack it, boom, hit it, and it comes into pieces. And then and we use a parboiled brown rice out of the US. We don't grow any other things called rice in Canada other than wild rice. We just certainly don't. That's why the surprise was we don't have the climate for it, right? But that's what we started to do. We started doing food service, then we introduced it to retail. Now, like, floating leaf products are sold in every grocery store across the country. Whole Foods, Safeway, Sobeys, Loblaws, Healthy Planets, Choices, wherever you want to go, right? And then chefs use them across the board. So we started doing the multigrain blends. And then we started doing other cool ingredients, right, that we realized there was opportunity for in food service, like hemp, for instance, right? Everyone was buying hemp at Costco or in Amazon, and chefs were using it. I was like, well, we got to bring this into food service, right? So we introduced that into to Cisco, and it's simple, right? It's beautiful. It's like a superfood, as we all know, right? But you got chefs using that now. They're making like dips out of it. They're crusting fish with it. Like making pestos. It's really interesting, right? Taking a simple, awesome Canadian ingredient like hemp seeds and oilseed, and doing cool things. We also do like black beluga lentils and a whole bunch of different kind of, which used to be like specialty ingredients that have become way more mainstream. But yeah, a little bit more just kind of on the wild rice. Like, so wild rice, it grows, like I said, in the rivers and the streams.
I want way more in the wild rice, because we are so coming out to visit you. Like, we are coming out to see you one of these days, 100%. So this is a once a year crop, and that window's super tight.
Totally tight.
But this sounds like it's still pretty. I mean, I get the float planes and shit, whether it's a canoe or an airboat. Like, it still seems very, very manual. Like, it's not
much.
You're not running combines through the river or a pond or a creek.
No, like when I was a kid, we'd go in and up to some of these lakes and stuff and help, like with chainsaws and quads. You're dropping trees, repairing bridges so that they can get in there with the quad and the trailer to pick up the
3 weeks. You guys got 3 weeks getting the bridge done.
It's nuts. Yeah, it's wild. And not much has changed. So how it works for purchasing it. So in Saskatchewan, like, so there's different areas where wild rice grows because it's a Mother Nature's crop. It's not a guarantee. You got water level, you got forest fires, you got fish eating the seeds. That's the way it goes. One cool thing to point out is when you're harvesting, no matter how it's harvested today in Canada, is the whole crop is never taken. So what comes up, like when you're banging sticks, think like stuff's falling. When you're using an airboat, which has a bucket on it, it's hitting it. So half of it's flinging in and the other half's kind of flinging out, right? So that wild rice is falling back down into the bogs and the rivers and the streams, and then coming up the next year. which it does in different areas. So you got to be kind of all over. We use 3 buying stations. So the harvesters, they go out and they have burlap bags. Like I said, they're going to go out and harvest that. Let's say in airboats, bring it to shore. They dump it, and at the end of the day, they shovel it into burlap bags. Then they throw it in their trucks or jeeps or quads or planes, and then bring it into these buying stations where we have a scale. There's an empty reefer, and you got a scale, and you got a safe, because it's a cash crop. And so it's like, hey, like what's the price per green rice you're paying? So you're up there to like midnight. You got a little floodlight on because they're coming off, right? And then you're looking at the rices. There are worms in it. You throw it on scale. Is what's the weight look like? Is that accurate? And then then it just gets into the reefer. And you just like hand bombing them in. And so you do that for a few days until you get a half full or full, because you got to keep it moving. You can't let it sit there and sweat forever, right? So you're hoping a lot of rice comes off all at once, which is rarely the case, where you can make it more economical and fill this thing and then move it. So yeah, and we're talking northwestern Ontario, the Pod, Manitoba, up in like Beauval and Buffalo Narrows, and even further Canoe Lakes and stuff in Saskatchewan.
I guess, but the thing is, I know you're glossing over it quickly, and I appreciate that. But we're not talking like, okay, if people listen, like we're not talking the cranberry fields out in the valley here in Low Rainland, where you got 10, 15, 20 acres in a little box. This shit, like you got, so you have, so is it predominantly indigenous nations that are helping harvest this? Because
predominantly,
we're talking hundreds of thousands of square kilometers of area. Like
absolutely.
You're not
some families will have rights to their lakes around them and leases and stuff. It's predominantly
but still, right?
No, it is. I mean, I've gone out there like tons. I mean, I grew up doing that. I mean, one of my first memories is going out in a canoe with a husband and wife First Nation couple, and actually banging rice and then shoveling it out. And
I just can't see this being. You got such a tight window. It's once a year. It just, to me, the logistics is a nightmare, because I think you have to have like 1 million people in boats and planes rushing to these lakes and ponds, and like seriously, it's got to be a logistical nightmare.
And it's got to be, well, it totally is, and it's got to be worth their while too. I mean, you go out there and let's say
clearly
you go out and it all looks good, and then they start hitting it.
There's nothing coming, maybe, right?
And then like the last couple of years, there's been this invasive worm that's left most of the wild rice husks empty, right? So you do all this, and then like boom, you do your first pass. And there's nothing in there. You got worms. You're like, my God, right? But then there's sometimes where the crops are really good. So they'll go into that lake. Let's say it's a little lake, and there are little lakes or corners of lakes. And so they'll go in with those airboats and they'll hit it one direction. It's like cutting your lawn, if you want to be perfect. You hit it one direction, then you go the other direction, right? So you want to make sure you get most you can off of that, because if there's rice there, you certainly want it, because the next pond or river you might hit might not have anything, right? And that just varies so much to all these uncontrollable things, which are mother nature.
I just think that's fascinating, just because it's not, I mean, it's old school farming, like not farming that we consider, like you said, combines and shit. Old school indigenous people knew they leave this one alone this year, do this one next year, maybe 3 years before you go back to it. You look at the color, it's wrong, we don't touch this one, let it seed, because we're just going to kill the plant because we shouldn't be doing it, or whatever they do, right? Farming, old school farming.
It totally is. So think about like a beaver, right? So let's say you have your bog or something builds a dam on you, right?
Well,
and
whatever.
Like, okay, well, I got way too much water. I don't have enough water. I get this beaver dam's got to go, right? Because we this is their livelihood. But yeah, it's super interesting. I had the opportunity to bring to 2 chefs from Cisco Kelowna years back out.
They must have been thrilled.
It harvested and then watched it being roasted and stuff. And these are great chefs, were blown away. Like they were like, Matt, this is the coolest thing. Still to this date, they'll say, like, I run into them somewhere. They're like, I tell that. It's like talking to you guys, like, we tell that story all the time, because it was just so wild and so crazy. Right?
Oh, we're so coming out to see you, like at harvest time. I really, I got to see how they do this shit.
It's really cool. I mean, it's completely hands-on. It hasn't changed much. It's basically exactly what I explained to you there.
Sounds like it's normal, like what it was.
Right. And then so, let's say something breaks. I mean, you got to have spark plugs lying around and more gas and this and that. And I mean,
like geographically, right? Because your grandfather was or your great grandfather was in Keewatin, which is
where's that from?
top
That's by Kenora.
northern corner of Ontario, right?
So like
But
on
you're
like if
in
you're at Thunder Bay, if you went straight up kind of thing?
Yeah, it's
no,
on Trans-Canada
yeah,
Highway. Trans-Canada Highway from Thunder Bay
like
to Winnipeg. You'll drive right
you're
through it.
probably closer
Oh,
to Winnipeg than you are Toronto, for example, right? Like, so
Oh,
it's
way
right.
almost
way
like if
closer.
you think of Winnipeg,
Yeah.
Keewatin is like here, right? Like it's
2 hours.
literally on the other side of the
Okay.
border of
Yeah.
Ontario. But
Right
like,
when you get
Okay.
into the bottom of the Canadian
yeah,
Shield, right where it gets
yeah,
starts to all the rocks and lakes, Lake of the
yeah,
Woods, like that's like
yeah.
world
I've
renowned.
never been to those areas, so you guys are
Oh,
talking
buddy, you
I've
are
been
mind-blowing.
I've been
missing
to
out.
Anakokin, but
Uh,
I've never
I got
been to
years left. I'm
Keewatin.
not leaving
So
the planet tomorrow. Give me a
yeah.
minute. I'll get there.
So is that
Gotta
kind
get
of
out of
like
bed
where
first.
you're harvesting? Is like that area, like near Keewatin, or like is it out in Saskatoon, or like what?
All over. So
All three.
yeah, so back there used to be really good rice crops on Lake of the Woods and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and things change, and there really isn't. So then you have like sandy lands, which you get into kind of Manitoba, and then up in the Paw. And then in Saskatchewan, northern Saskatchewan is where the majority comes from. There's just,
Really?
I live here, right? I live in Saskatoon. My dad's
Yeah.
facility is in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and so I mean that's how we
Well,
operate. But
I'm assuming like urban creep causes issues, like some of those lakes in Ontario. I'm assuming it's just because of us. Like we just,
for
we
sure,
go boats on the lake, all that bullshit. We develop.
people
Northern
dragging.
Saskatchewan is probably going to be pretty empty for a long time coming.
Oh
So,
yeah, there's so many lakes. I had the opportunity to fly up like 3 hours straight up with
right.
my brother-in-law
But dude,
last summer and
Phil,
just
think
went
of the
straight
area
north.
though.
no,
And it was
dude.
just
Like
Like
I
think of
just
the
did the
area.
so
math.
vast, so vast.
Like
It's
I
Right?
not
just did
even
the math.
vast.
So
It's beyond
so
that.
no,
Yeah.
but I just did it like a simple Google Maps, and so if you kind of go like you're talking about like 1,000 kilometer radius easy,
Easy.
right? Like
It's only a
from
million people in all of
because from like
Saskatchewan.
Keewatin to Saskatoon, it's 1,000 kilometers. It's a
Yeah.
And then
for
go up
listeners, if
another
you can't
1,000.
imagine, like for
That's
listeners, if you can't imagine,
insane.
that's 10 hours of straight up driving, right? 10 hours, and change of straight up driving. You got to get from Keewatin into Winnipeg, and then kind of go like northwest. Kind
Yeah.
of like and then
Wow.
the Paw is actually weirdly I actually know where that is, but that's like northwest of it's north and then a little bit west of
10,
Winnipeg,
12-hour, 14-hour
right?
drives, no matter
Like
what, to get
that's
it in there.
craziness. Like
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insanity.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Like to harvest that, again, the remoteness, you don't have time. And who knows what Mother Nature's going to do? Like, you got no control over her. Like, she's going to do whatever she wants, whenever she wants.
You
I
you
mean,
you don't know. You get once that rice is full, right in there. Let's say it's full and you got a really good crop. I mean, all it takes is up there is some
get some winter snow or
serious
frost and you're
rain
done.
or fire, or that first frost. You betcha. Like if that hits up there in end of September, first week of October, and it's not off, it's gone. And that's happened too, many, 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 many a times, right? And usually when there's a good harvest, because you're still working, right? They're still out there
Yeah.
picking. But yeah, it's super
So
interesting to be born into something
does
like this is so cool.
it sounds like demand is so like, are you able to, let's say you have a banner year. Let's say Mother Nature plays in your favor, gives you 4 weeks because she just keeps the temp, like things are just good to go. Like, are you able, like, it's either you sell it all because demand is so high. Do you get to keep some residual so that if next year she says, screw you, just for funsies, I'll give you 2 weeks so you
Yeah.
don't get the pull? Like,
Yeah, in some years we just don't have any. I mean, that's why it's nice that I mean, obviously that they do cultivate across the border because we have it in products, right? Nutritional value
right,
is the same. I can explain the difference between the two rices in a sec, but no, I mean, there's always more demand than there is wild rice. Okay, for Canadian wild rice,
right,
always. And
always.
so what you do is you have your customer base, right? That you expect how much growth. I mean, we know we're everywhere kind of in retail. Well, you look at food service and then you look at export. And then, yeah, you want to we work with some people we supply around the world that we've been doing that for 3 generations too. And then they understand the uniqueness of this crop. Like, hey, we're going to get some, we're not going to get some, and this and that, and they alternate. Then they have to buy from the US and stuff. But no, what we try to do is obviously service everybody's needs who we already do business with. And if we have
Right,
something left,
right,
then we can try to grow that business.
right.
I get emails every day. I mean, like yesterday, 2 emails. You got a container? You got half a container? Do you have one pallet? Do you have a 100-pound
A
bag?
couple bags?
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's crazy. It's
That's
crazy.
craziness.
Yeah.
So go back. Now you started. So I'm assuming, because him and I walked, honestly, we walked away, just so people know, like, Matt was a bullshitting. We walked away and I looked at Phil, I said, that is a bunch of bullshit. We don't grow rice in our country. So we're hopping on Google, we're looking, thinking,
But we
oh,
said it
shit,
in
man,
the
we grow
nicest
rice,
way
we
because
grow
we
rice
really
in.
like Matt right away. So I just want to point that out. Is
Oh, no, we loved him
there's
because
nothing sketchy
you can see
about
the
Matt
energy, right?
whatsoever. It was
So
just a
we're
really
super,
mature
and
way
we're
of
thinking,
selling
like,
us.
what the hell? 3 generations. Who the hell knew? And then you're going
Four.
back. This is thousands of years. And
Yeah.
I've never heard any of this. Then we
Yeah.
start talking. And then it's like, holy shit. So now the States does rice,
Yeah.
as well as wild rice.
Yeah.
I'm assuming clearly because our lakes, if our lakes are, 1,000 clicks north of Saskatchewan or Saskatoon, pardon me, is going to be a very different ecosystem than a lake in Nebraska. If, let's say that's worth, because it's climate. I mean, it's colder, blah, 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 whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Lots to do with
what's the
climate.
difference between our rice and theirs?
So they're different. They're different varieties, and what it was is they were kind of cultivated to be. So the Canadian wild rice, like I said, is long and thin. Okay, so it is. It can shatter, right? So if you tried to make, which they do with lots of rices, is scarification. So you have a piece of rice, you scratch it, makes it cook quicker. Okay, you're etching into the bran, so the water penetrates in
Okay,
faster.
yeah, yeah.
So you can't do that with Canadian wild rice. And because it breaks, it shatters like glass because it's long and thin. So the one that's cultivated in the U.S. is kind of shorter and fatter. Same nutritional value. It's going to bring you the same flavor, pretty much, right? It's depending on the roasting technique,
Right.
but it's just way more consistent, and you can scarify it, so you can get it to cook in 5 minutes. You can just the more you scratch it, right?
So that's like the Lumberg stuff. Like, is that just help me, like
But
humanly
so
kind of
Len, no,
breakdown?
so the California they have like organic wild rice that's 60 minutes too, but it's always going to be
Okay.
shorter and fatter than
It's
Canadian
always
wild rice.
shorter,
Always
fatter.
We're
Okay.
shorter,
still talking
fatter.
about rice, right?
Yes, we are. Okay, believe it or not, right?
Well, because I'm going to
Ours
be
is the
running.
skinny rice.
Well, I've got this soup. I got a superstore down the street. I'm going to go buy some of this rice now because I want to see how the hell
Yeah,
this
when
does
you
it.
look at them, they look different, but they are interchangeable. Okay, like so you can if
Yeah.
you have to, if we have you're selling this and there's not enough Canadian, then it's the thing that makes Canadian is obviously the story, the natural aspect, and it's all organic. Okay, and so we work on those certifications for the lakes, like with the OPAMs of the world and stuff like
Right.
that. They go up there and testing waters and really with our company, Floating Leaf, best practices like where's the gas in the boat and all that kind of stuff. All these things contribute in to getting that certification. But yeah, it's like a delicacy, right? I mean, it's Canadian wild rice is like the caviar of grains, we called it, and just so desirable. And as the world, like we're talking about, do we ever have enough? Wants to eat more wild rice, for instance, like China, that market had opened up
Oh,
only a
that will
few
have no
years
rice for
ago.
anybody.
Well, there is it, right? And then what the price goes up and stuff. So that's what you have to
Wow.
manage. We manage on our side. It's like, no, like we have our customers and stuff like that. You could still sell like how my grandpa did is have a wild rice harvest, pack it all up, put it in the thing, and just be gone with it, right? In a week and have it sold, right? But
Yeah.
it's not. We believe that like encouraging excellent health with healthy cuisine and our roots being wild rice and making sure that we're able to have a consistent supply,
Right.
and we're the only ones who've really done that in a marketing aspect of wild rice, kind of globally, and
Right.
and been our focus. Like all of our blends and stuff all have wild rice. It's a signature ingredient in there. We just created one for Costco East in Canada that they just launched a couple weeks ago. So that's pretty cool. It's called the Wild Harvest Rice Blend, as
Okay.
is the name. It's 5 different rices, but predominantly wild rice in there. And Canadians, we do. I mean, every year more and more people want to eat wild rice because we're always choosing healthier diets.
It
It's
makes
eating
sense.
closer to home when you can. All those things come into play. I wish we could have more wild rice up here, but who knows? Maybe this year is going to be the year where there is a bumper crop, right? And
Well, I also got to think that because the area is so vast, and it's not like this is the most heavily populated part of our country, any of the north, right?
mhm,
Is that I'm assuming there's a lot that just can't get harvested because we just don't have the
sure,
people, remoteness,
or it's not
and
even
I'm assuming, but
economically possible, like
Right.
like it's feasible, right? Like, oh my God,
but is this a
way
growing
up at
thing?
the North
So,
Pole, there's some wild rice. Like, what are you going to do, right? Call
but I guess
Santa
what I'm
and just
asking is,
let it
so
down for you?
Yeah.
if you look at, like, I'm assuming it's because most of this is going to be northern, probably a lot of First Nations lands. I'm assuming that population is all over this, but
Yeah.
even that, like, you just don't have what indigenous base of anybody up there to, like, I mean, not for anything. I don't think there's gonna be a whole ton of people from the city moving up in La Paz.
No, no, for
Just
sure.
throwing it
It's a
out
good
there. I
point.
doubt it's going to happen tomorrow.
No, and it's a good point, right? I mean, because just like people leave their towns and stuff. I mean, their generational businesses of harvesting wild rice and stuff like that. People are moving to this
Well,
city.
for sure, the
Going
kids
away.
don't want to do it.
Right? Not all of them, that's for sure, right?
Well,
So
for sure.
sometimes there's a struggle, right? When there's a good crop is getting enough people up and out to harvest the wild rice, right? And that's why we've seen prices of green rice go up dramatically over the years. And so like the recovery this year on green rice is like a pound of green rice was like like less than half a pound of finished rice too. That's your yield, right? And it can even be
You got
less
that
than
on
that.
top of that? Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Oh yeah, big time, right? So that's why it all adds up. That's why when you go to a grocery store and you look at 300-gram bag is $12.99 of wild rice, right? As opposed to you can buy a 20-pound bag of jasmine rice for the same price, right?
For $12.99.
You walk in, right? You know what I mean? And that's
Totally.
just it's just different. It's just different worlds. And but yeah, it's something that when that season comes around, it's just so much uncertainty too, right? Because you just don't know, right? And that's why having it cultivated across the border. I mean, there's still good crops and bad crops, like whether if you're growing white rice or brown rice or lentils in the farms in where I live around in Saskatchewan. Hey, you can have a great year, you can have a crappy year.
Yeah.
Ours is just even more dependent on that mother nature and water levels.
I think you've got so many variables. I think the human resource variable is massive. I mean, again, if you have a bumper crop in Nebraska, it's probably not brutally, or southern Saskatchewan, you can grab people. Like I'm assuming there's a human resource that we can use. So you have a big crop, 2 clicks from the territory border to Saskatchewan. It's not like 100,000 people are running up there picking rice. You know what I mean? Like logistically,
Totally.
it's real. Like that's a tough one. Wow. And it's not like a farm.
No.
You're popping lakes and rivers and ponds and creeks
all over
and
the
bogs.
place. Yeah. I mean, it does.
Phil, we got to go do a tour of this, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
Gotta go.
Hopefully, get a crop. Fingers crossed this year, and
that's fantastic.
Let's see what happens. But yeah,
a personal question.
Sure.
Can you make this stuff in a rice cooker? Like
I was gonna ask you that too.
I don't make rice.
You can. I've done it. I was at a Food X in Japan, and this is I'm going to say like 12 years ago when one of my first shows I did, and so we export a little bit of wild rice, and we say like a couple pallets a year, and anyways want to go support the distributor and stuff, and I mean they like the rice a certain way, right? And showing the wild rice, well, you can use it in a rice cooker. So we did it, and it actually turned out fantastic.
Okay.
It turned out really good. And now you got like Instapots and pressure cooking and all that kind of stuff that people are using. So you can, how we do it at home, most of the time we use our wild rice in minutes, to be honest with you, is because it's like pour it in boiling water, let it go for 10, sit for 5, strain it, right? And strain it off.
Okay.
Because it doesn't, to get that exact ratio for wild rice and water is a tough one to do.
Tricky.
So like all of ours will say 1 cup of rice, 4 cups of water, and you're usually going to strain off maybe half a cup of water at the end, which is fine. But then when you're blending it, that's why when we create blends and stuff like that, it's really, you got to watch the percentage of wild rice that you're putting with the other rices and really dialing in, wanting people to be able to cook it like normal rice. Like, okay, 1 cup, 1.5 or 1 to 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1. Right. Throw it in a rice cooker, hit the button.
Your finger in, and then if it gets the
halfway. Exactly. Yeah, for my cooking days, right? Yeah, I don't follow that one anymore, but yeah.
But
so
you're
that's
okay.
why
But
we
you're
make
okay to
blends.
drain it. I guess the trick is because I'm hearing you because
Pure wild rice.
you would never drain. Rice needs to soak it all up. You're not draining.
drain rice.
Yeah, and that's why
Rice,
because it's not really rice, right?
It's not rice though. It's rice, but it's not like rice.
Correct.
Rice. I get it.
Yeah.
So the draining part's okay. It's not like we're draining all the starch and all.
But
the
it's also
goodness.
no, not at all. I mean, it's already roasted, but like what you're getting there is depending again what texture you want too, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, the
like,
chewiness I think is what most people probably
No, it's
like
highly
about
subjective,
wild
man.
rices.
Like you get down
Absolutely.
into that, and like a little, like in our household, I like it drier. I like it a little more al dente, so a little bit less water, right? My wife will make it fluffier and a little more water, and it's like a constant argument. So you get into those, and it's all about texture now, right?
It's so difficult to tell you when you're making these blends and stuff because yes, there's preferences to rice. What I've learned in my whole life with not just wild rice, but I've traveled the world, right? I mean, I've gone through the Middle East, I've gone through India, Thailand, all over, and learned so much about rice and how particular people are about their rice, the texture of it, where it's coming from, this and that. So when we're creating like a like a multi-grain blend of like rices, like a big one, and it's got 3 or 4 rices, then it's like you got to put cooking instructions on it. And they're pretty much subjective because it's like 1 cup to 1 3/4 cups water, add less or more to your liking, because
Yeah, but that
people are going
doesn't.
to do what they're going to do. And if you got a
Yeah.
big bag of rice, it's like this new blend we created. It's got actually for Costco East, it's got like 30% sweet rice in it. Okay. And so sweet rice is a soft, sticky rice, right? But we got that with the wild rice and the red rice and brown and then a cow roast. So you get these really cool textures, but except it's kind of sticky, but it's not soft, sticky. It's like chewy. It's cool. But when you're mixing these things and you're trying to figure out the right amount of water and stuff, yeah, you could still have a lot of fun creating something that's cool and new, because with rice, someone's going to go, I cook it for another 5 minutes, or I cook it less, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's very, very subjective. So,
You,
yeah.
I think that
Hmm.
you're fun to talk to because like
Yeah, no shit, eh?
every time we talk to you, we learn like not something new, like shitloads new,
This is like a whole
and
new
then
world.
I
Yeah,
think
Little
you guys
Mermaid.
are so creative about um how because it's rice, right? Like, so you kind of
Yeah.
go, it's rice. Like, what else can you do?
Who's
Throw
getting
it in a pan
excited
and you
about
sell
it?
it. And you
Yeah,
guys are
it's
kind of
rice. Who
like,
cares? But
no,
I
no.
know.
Like, we found like 18 different ways to do this.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm still
you.
not understanding how you blend it though, in a sense, because I'm doing the same thing you guys are probably, or probably Phil's doing, because you're used to it, Matt. Is I'm
Yeah.
thinking that, if I do a jasmine rice, it's going to take this long. If I do a carnaroli, it's going to take this long. If you mix the two, it's complicated.
It
Now, if you
is.
mix the two and then throw a rice and it's not a rice and it's cooked, like I'm thinking, like I don't, like my mind is thinking like, no, you can't, because the wild rice needs to be a bit chewy. I don't want my arborio or carnaroli or whatever like mush. Like I don't no.
Yeah, I know. It's just size of grains. There's scarification. There's roasting. There's husk left on. There's scratching. There's sprouting. So sprouting's another big one in California. Like taking like a brown cow rose and stuff,
Well,
and
anything sprouting is hot in California.
yeah, no, it's cool. And yeah, but it's making it's lit what it the whole idea why we do this is to make more wild rice be more accessible, right? So that you
Right.
can have wild rice in your diet, because we obviously believe in it. It's good for you. It's something we believe in it. That's a fact. But yeah, everything rice. I mean, do it every day. I do it all day long and still get excited when people meet me and we sit there and talk. And this is one of many meetings I even have in a day. And it's like, yeah, and there's like the passion for it is crazy. And I think that is because of our legacy in this, because of the family story. If
Clearly.
I was just a rice salesman, I think that, and not maybe having the culinary or the family background, I don't know how excited I probably could
When you're
get.
a hundred years in and still excited, you're
Yeah,
either a little bit bent or this is really cool. I
yeah.
got a feeling it's a little bit of both, but mostly cool.
Yeah, right. And then you know what? Speaking of cool, as our business has evolved, and it's not all just about wild rice. At the end of the day, it's about giving consumers exactly what they're looking for, and they're looking for more convenience and on the go and healthier options. And that's kind of like what I said, that we focus on is healthier options. And you guys would have saw it in the Nuga is the rice stuff box that we created. So we
Yeah.
went to CL Innovation last year for that, and it's right on. And then
Wow.
the CHFA launch pad. So this is like the first ever organic rice. It's jasmine rice, but you just add boiling water. You can microwave for 2 minutes, but it's dry, so you don't have to use a microwave. But instead of like instant noodles or retorque rices, this is truly you're on the go, preparing it, eat it, and then recycle it. Healthy option, right? So less than 25% sodium, no additives, preservatives, none of that stuff in there. Gluten-free, dairy-free, free of everything except really good flavor and convenience. So we've had some good success. We just launched that a year and a half ago. This is almost on every Canadian grocery store shelf as well, which is really interesting. We listened, as we do as a small company, to the consumer and some feedback. Everyone was loving this, but I just showed this at CHFA last week in Vancouver. This is our new branding and our new packaging
Oh, I missed
that
this.
we
I didn't
have.
see it.
So what it is
Yeah.
people were
I
saying,
like
okay,
that.
I want more protein. And so we're adding in an egg, or I'm landing leftover chicken. So we've added in 11 grams of complete protein. This was
Wow.
4. This is now 11. So that's called out. And we do that with peas. When you put peas and rice together, that's how you get all 9 essential amino acids. Also 2 grams of fiber. We got our non-GMO verification. We made the packaging a little bit higher. So now instead of having to put a napkin, once you rip it off, you can fold it over to let it steam
Right.
once you put the water in. So tons of learnings that we did. Now it's truly an on the go
I
meal,
like it.
just on the go rice. And then one of the other things, because we innovated this packaging, because it's like a pouch, right? Not shipping around a bunch of air like the bowls and the cups, that you crush it and then you pull it open and it becomes the box, right? And so people were like, okay, it says rice box, but I don't get it. Because again, we innovated, patent pending on this packaging. Is so this new packaging, and now you look at it, it actually looks like a box, like that rice box from the 90s and whatever, right? So people can visually see now, oh man, okay, it says rice box, just add water. Okay, cool. I can eat this kind of on the go, right?
Right.
So yeah, with a lot of what I've been working on that and dialing that in the formulations. I mean, for instance, one of the cool things is like the pineapple, like pineapple's yellow and it's really good and people like it. My kids love it, but no one could read it
Can't
because
read it.
it's white
Can't see
on
that.
yellow. So we listened, and so now you got this is your new pineapple color. So again, stands off. People
nice.
can read what it is and what have you. And so we got some new flavors coming down this fall on that hopefully. And yeah, so we're trying to bring solutions. As is always to consumers, to have healthier options to eat than they don't have today, right? And that's how we progress, and that's years of innovation. I mean, started with wild rice, and then canned wild rice, and then wild rice in minutes, and then sprouting and making complete multigrain blends. To now, we did do retorque at one point, but saturated, it's like chewy and weird because it's in water and it's not for us. So this is like a dry, super great quality that we've listened to. So yeah, there's still with rice, there's still lots to do.
I don't think I've ever been this excited about rice in my entire life.
I've always been excited about
rice. I love rice.
Me too.
I love rice.
Yeah.
You know what? We may not have the jasmines and the Thais, but arborio carnaroli, I love rice.
Yeah. But
absolutely. I just think it's, first off, do you sleep? Your energy level is so high, right?
Just a few hours. I got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, all boys. And then my wife owns a food company.
Don't do hockey.
I'm trying to get them into skiing. And so we're
anything
hills here though, right? So it's behind us, Skidoo.
Fine.
And then my wife, she owns 3 farmers, which is another Canadian family business. And so we're busy people.
So listen, like for listeners, like this is what the Ratuski does is he kind of like slides little things in there that are huge, actually, right? Now that I'm getting to know you, but so
that's what we found on Miranda Nougat too. We thought
Matt's wife is one of the Vanden Herks who owns 3 farmers. So if you
one of our first podcasts, in the early days of our podcast, we had
it with Natasha, right? So Natasha was on the show, but 3 farmers is another big Canadian. You guys are like a food dynasty.
We'll see.
Food dynasty.
Food dynasty.
Good word.
Yeah,
Good word.
You heard it
here
on the pod.
You're like huge Canadian icons.
No, there's only so much wild rice.
Between wild rice and lentils and chickpeas, it's kind of crazy, you guys.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is crazy. And our lives are very busy. Like this year, just started off so I saw you guys in October to Nougat. It started off in January off to the Gulf Food Show in Dubai, where where we sell our wild rice floating leaf products, where we launched the rice box already. And then I was in some shows in the States because we launched the rice boxes in the States as well. So I was in Denver, then Orlando, then we were just at CHFA West in Vancouver, and I'm jumping on a plane on Sunday headed to Expo West.
Yeah.
Then to Reno after that for another show. And it's just, it's crazy. And I do all that by myself because we are a small company. I mean, it sounds like we're doing lots of big, cool things, but it's me, my dad, and my brother, and a handful of wonderful, wonderful employees that work with us. And that's it. So it's a lot, but you got to like what you do. You got to have that energy behind it. And like I said, I think that a lot of that comes from our roots.
I just think the multi-generational thing,
it is. It really is.
I would assume on your harvesting side, I'm assuming there's a lot of indigenous families that are multi-generational with you guys as well.
Absolutely.
It's just gone through time where.
Yeah, and it's relationships. So every year,
that's awesome.
My dad's getting on the phone, right? Because he handles all of the rice buying and all of that stuff. And so, it's like, hey, how's your crop looking? Hey, you think we can get a piece of it like we did last year? And, what's coming up on your lakes? Or I'm not going to have it. Then they start these price conversations and what have you, because there's a few other buyers, not many, right. But there are. So, there's lots of relationships that are still involved, which is really cool, too, because that's something we lose.
That's awesome.
But even with like, with our other ingredients that we have as with lentils and what have you, and even our jasmine rices out of Thailand and stuff, like we work directly with these farmers in these communities and co-ops, right? So it's not just like buying from a cleaner and do this. We want to
Right.
get as close as we can
Yeah, to the source.
for many reasons, but you want to, right? I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have married a farmer's daughter where I get to go and combine lentils, right? See where these chickpeas come from. I mean, until that, I had no idea. I knew all about wild rice, right? But I didn't understand, what goes on all those fields. So I've had the fortunate enough to do that a few times, and looking forward for my kids to do all this stuff too, right? To experience this, where your food's coming
I
from.
think it's important,
I
right? I mean,
want to
because
be in your
most of it,
household, like between the two of you.
I don't know how you guys do
Like,
it.
how do you have time for
I
children,
don't know how
let
you have
alone
time for three
anything else?
kids.
Like, that's amazing.
Dope.
That's a lot of shit
Crazy.
going on.
You're like feeding Canada, and also you have children, and also you have businesses. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
It is. It's
I love it.
you know what, we're just blessed in so many different areas. That's what makes it so crazy, right? Just lots of blessed in so many different areas of
That's
our
awesome, buddy boy.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, we are so coming out to see you. Like
Yes.
I
Yeah.
really want to try to come
yeah,
around a harvest to see. I
yeah.
don't know. I just
When
find
is
this
hard? Like,
fascinating.
when if we were to try and figure this out, when do we come so we don't get in the way of harvest and also be able to film some
But
stuff?
get a little
You know
bit
what
in
I
the
mean?
way.
Like, because like
Yeah, I've
we
gone
want to
up.
be in it, but like we're gonna be
Yeah.
your weakest links by like
By 100 miles.
a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
long 100 miles. Like,
So it just depends, like again, lots with weather and then how fast stuff comes up. Is it a hot
yeah,
summer? Is it a dry summer?
Yeah.
All, but primarily it's going to be in September, and that's like usually when show season starts up, as you guys know. And
yeah,
I'm bouncing
Yep.
around here, and they're
yeah,
doing that behind the scenes and
yeah,
sending pictures and stuff like that. But that would be it. Now I can keep you guys posted on that stuff for sure. And it doesn't take, I mean, time if you want to drive up. Like let's say if you want to Saskatchewan, you want to drive up, see where they're growing the rice, and then how the scale works, and then you got to go like another 14 hours to go see how it's processed and harvested and bagged. So that's a lot. But just to go see where it grows and just to
yeah,
see like these
yeah,
simple things, like 1 year at a time, like, hey, let's just go check out it growing this
yeah,
year,
yeah, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and do that. But yeah, no, it is cool. I always enjoy driving up there in the summer and just going up there and talking to people, right? You're just kind of planting seeds and
no,
hey,
we
how's
love
it
that
going?
stuff.
What's it looking like? And
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty old school.
wow, love
That's
it.
awesome, buddy. Seriously,
Love
I
it.
think that's just absolutely fascinating.
Wow,
Mhm.
wow. Hey, thanks for doing this. We really
It's
Really
awesome.
appreciate it.
Sorry, I took me so long because I
nope.
would be like, I would
Don't be
book it,
sorry
and
about
then all of a sudden,
anything.
like, oh, I'm on an airplane going to another show, or I'm going here, I'm
No, no,
going.
no, 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 not a big
I
deal.
wanted to
Not a
make
big deal.
sure
Not a big
I
deal.
gave
Not
it
a
my
big deal.
full. It gave it my
No,
all.
we appreciate it.
Give it your best, baby. Give it your
And then
best.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, because we do eat this stuff in the house. Like I
Awesome.
actually take this with me. We go places with
Thanks,
it.
Phil.
So when I put out this video, I'm actually gonna shoot how I make it,
Cool.
because I feel like that would because you're right, the square thing doesn't really
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't
It
pop. But as
doesn't.
soon as you do it, it's like, oh, this is so cool, right?
And
So
that's why there's a
yeah,
QR. Like I tried, like, okay, there's pictures, there's
yeah,
words, but when you innovate, you have to educate. So there's
yeah,
like a QR code that says "Cook Me." You scan that as a 30-second video. Whoop
yeah,
whoop whoop, and then you're
yeah,
like, oh, there's the fill line.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But anyways, I could have put it in a cup. It probably would have been just as well, but it wouldn't
Probably
have
been
been
a lot easier,
yeah,
but
as
that's
much
okay.
work.
yeah, yeah.
It's
But
all
anyways,
good.
yeah, it's
It's
cool.
all good.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, guys,
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
having me on.
Yeah,
It's
no,
No,
cool
thank
thanks
you.
for
hanging out.
coming on, and
Yeah, we
okay, go
appreciate it.
do rice things. Whatever.
Yes, it's time
Go
to do all
dream
the
of
nice
more
stuff.
rice things. We'll
I
we'll
am.
start buying
There's
you
like
rice, and
all
then
these innovations sitting back over there that I wish that I could just jump on and get some money to actually
yeah,
blow it up. But
yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
it's all good in the hood.
All good in
It's
time,
awesome.
buddy.
It's
Right
awesome.
on.
Okay.
Matt, thanks again for
Thanks,
doing
Matt.
this.
Appreciate you.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye
Phil,
now.
you hang
Bye.
on. You go work. That's
Love that
energy.
guy. I love that guy a
That's
lot.
energy.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what like you're getting. That's what he was like in Germany. That's yeah. And then yeah. And it's cool. And this I really do like. This is really cool. Like it's tasty and it's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I still just, it's this, you know what? Listen, if you go, it's like hunting. And, a lot of guys who hunt, right? So you go, you got to find the animal. You have to, there's process, but you're never guaranteed anything, right? Guys get tickets for moose, go up north. I mean, it's not even hunting. Like they just go sightseeing and enjoy a week and catch nothing, right? I mean, you think of the area. northern Saskatchewan, northern Alberta, northern Ontario. We're not talking like literally. This is a big freaking space of empty, right? And you know, I just I can't understand the logistics because even just to lake hop, there's a trillion lakes.
Yeah.
Like this is insanity.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's like I think that's what I was trying to do with the location stuff, right? Was I was just trying to get people context on like what it looks like because when you start
Phil, you
looking at
can't
like the
because you know what?
maps
It's
and
the
you look at all
area
those
of
things,
Spain,
it's a
Italy,
lot. And
Germany,
so yeah,
you know, France together. I mean, that's what your area is. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
beyond stupid.
yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah,
not like it's parcels of farmland. Like it's in out, in out, in
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Like it's crazy. I mean, I
Well,
think this
no,
is fascinating. I didn't even know
but
we had this. You didn't
I
know,
think
but
the
this is
I think
ridiculous.
the thing like that because if you look at the geography, right, like in Ontario, that part of it's literally the northernest corner of Ontario. So it's not somewhere that any like it's not like going to Cranbrook. And it's
No.
not like so if you're a BC listener, this is not Cranbrook. This is more like
And that's still quasi remote to some degree. You know what I mean? Like this
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
remote,
yeah,
remote.
yeah. Like this is like way past Prince George and then way into the oh, what's that little panhandle bit before you get into Alaska? Um
Or like you're going up to like towards Smithers and
That's
Merritt and
right.
Prince
Like
Rupert
so
up in that
that's
area,
kind of what we're talking about, right? Except we
right?
are we're not
Except there's population up there,
yeah,
relatively
yeah,
speaking.
but yeah, like La Paz, the Paz in Manitoba where he's talking about has 5,000 people in it.
Yeah,
You know, so even if you've got rice and you got all 5,000 people out, you probably couldn't
yeah.
harvest still.
But even there, like we're talking about, that's still it's great 5,000 people, but the rice areas might be 3 4 hours drive from
Right, right
there,
from there. Yeah, that's
and
right.
you're not bouncing into towns. Like it's
No,
got to be a lot of nothing.
no, it's nothings, and then you got to go around lakes. You got to go through. You
Seriously,
know,
I mean,
like
I think
it's
it's
really
amazing.
yeah,
It's amazing that they can do
yeah.
this as a
Where
business
there are no
because
roads, there's nothing, right? So
boy, you're
it's
flying in, flying out, or
yeah,
portaging or whatever. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it's insanity.
yeah.
It's
It's
just
kind of
literally
crazy.
insane. That's amazing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. That's a great Canadian story. That was
It
awesome.
is. I love it a lot. I love it a lot. Anyway, we're glad he got on because that
Yeah, me too. That was fantastic.
okay. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody.